Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. Today I'm just going to make a bracelet, but some call it the cha-cha bracelet. I know that Turtle Soup Beads, she calls them cha-cha bracelets. I don't know if that's the official name, but I don't know. I did it just the theme of St. Patrick's Day, and I may or may not get this uploaded by the end of St. Patrick's Day. Not really sure at this point. Just have green, gold, purple Polymer Clay, and I took and mixed I mixed pearl into that green. I had a tiny bit of this left over that I had used previously, and it was a brighter color than the other ones, so I wanted to just throw that in there and mix that up really good. The purple I did not add any pearl to. I wanted a little bit of just matte color or matte finish in there because there's so much shimmer in every other piece in it. All the greens except for that one, I believe, has shimmer in it also. And here I'm just doing a teardrop blend, putting them all together. And I wish I would not have put as much of the pearl on the end there because it made the middle of the clovers too white. And I didn't much like it, but I wasn't gonna remake the entire thing. So just roll it out and run it through the pasta machine as many times until you get the blend that you like. If you don't have a pasta machine, you can just fold it over and do it with the roller. Then I'm just gonna squish it together and then run it through the pasta machine long ways so that I get a long ribbon of it. That way I can roll it into a bullseye cane. And of course there's always stuff in my clay or pieces rubbing off from the pasta machine onto it. So ran it through on a number 1 for my machine. That's the thinnest setting, and it always likes to stick, so I'm just unsticking it and rolling it up and trying to keep it tight so that there's no air bubbles. I'm not pushing down extremely hard, but I am pushing down on it just to try to avoid as much air going into it as possible or getting trapped in it. Then you just reduce it, start from the middle and work your way out. So if there is any air, you hopefully will work it out by doing it this way. And then just continue to roll it out until you get it the diameter that you want. I tried to make these quite a few different ways. I didn't have a set plan in place. I did think it through of how, well, not how I wanted to do them. I don't know. I didn't have a set plan of how to make each clover. I just tried a bunch of different ways, and once I figured out the way that I liked, I went with that. And it took me quite a few tries. I did not like the way that these turned out in the beginning, but after they were baked and I got them hung and glazed, I kind of liked them. Like I liked them a lot more than I thought I would, because they're just, I don't know, they're very whimsical. They're not perfect, and I'm always trying to make something perfect, and I want to be able to kind of, let go and just be okay with it not being perfect. And after just, I guess having them around, and once everything was put together, they looked really good, and I was very happy with them. And I might even, I've thought about making more of them, but not with, obviously, St. Patrick's Day colors. And I'm just squishing it back together because I feel like it was too thin. I didn't realize how much easier it is to work with them the thicker that they are. So if you're going to do this, and you know, when you go to cut them pretty thick like I do the other ones you'll see later. Just use various tools and try to figure out the easiest way for me to get the effect that I was going for. And on the last set that I do, I finally put the leaf cane together to go ahead and make the clover, and then just cut the slices and detailed them afterwards, and it worked much better. But I didn't want to cut all this out just so that you could see maybe one of these ways will work better for you than it did for me. And I don't know, it's nice to see when things don't always go like you plan. But I'll let this play out so you can see what's what. Here I was attempting to make a heart type, a heart cane, and figured that if I did that and then cut it as petals to stick them together, and it would look good that way. I wasn't happy with it. I think if I would have squished it together like I did the green ones on the last attempt, it would have turned out the way I wanted. But doing it this way, it absolutely did not. So I squished these up in the end and made swirled lentil beads out of them. So here what I was going to do was go ahead and push the sides in to see if that would make it easier, and that way you could just cut them and, you know, finish them and they would be done. Didn't quite work the way I had hoped. Like I said, I was trying to go for a very symmetrical, perfected clover, but in the end I think these were my favorite. Well, no, the bigger green ones that I used were my favorite, but these were at the top too. So I'm glad that they turned out the way they did, and things didn't go as planned. So yeah. And with this one, I didn't want to add any purple. I wanted some ones that were just plain green, and these are the ones that I decided not to use. I believe, yeah, these are the ones I decided not to use. But the way that I stuck it down onto the acrylic and used the toothpick to kind of squish in each side, it did help it be more symmetrical. It looked a little better to me as far as, you know, looking like a clover, but still I didn't like them very much in the end. When you do this, you have to put your finger in the middle so that it doesn't like squish everything up. But I just put a little pressure in the middle so that it kind of keeps it there. And once I squished all the sides in, if you take and push the sides kind of in together and close up those gaps and squish it together more, it makes it just cuter, and you know, I don't know, it makes it look better in my opinion. So yeah. Here I'm just taking some little pieces of all the colors that I have, making sure they're conditioned well, turning them into logs, putting them all together, chopping them up, and then making a cane out of it. And I was going to make balls as accent pieces within the bracelet, but I took and made them into teardrops instead. Not sure why, but they just, I don't know, I wanted teardrops. The solid purple ones, though, I did keep as a ball, and then I made some that were the same colors but without the purple, made those into teardrops also. But with this log, this is when I was making the swirled lentil beads to go along with everything. And if you haven't watched my previous video on how to make lentil beads, if you're struggling with it or have never done it before, so you don't get frustrated and just pull every strand of hair out that you have, go watch that video. It will help you get the hang of it, and then once you get the hang of it, you can do it without the guides, I guess you could call them. It took me a while, and I finally got it, and I am planning to do a video on how to do it without the guides, because it does take a lot longer when you do it that way, and doing it this way is quicker, but it definitely hurts my wrist and elbow a ton more, and it can be very aggravating. But you know, as with anything, practice makes perfect, and I have practiced this a lot so that I didn't have to do it with the guides, because although the guides work amazingly well, it's not as easy to get a good swirl, because you have to make the ball of clay big enough so that the guide touches it, you know, or the guides make both pieces of glass touch it enough in order for it to swirl. And you know, you may not want your lentil bead to be that big, so then you would have to just get a smaller guide. Anyways, the guides are really just to help you get the hang of it and learn how the clay works when you're swirling it and things like that. So once you get the hang of it with those, then you can just practice and practice and practice more and do it by hand, because it does take a lot of practice. It did me anyway. And these were the balls here that I ended up turning into the teardrops. And of course, it would not be St. Patrick's Day without gold coins. Cut these up, rolled them into balls, flattened them out with my blade, and made a bunch of, I didn't make them all the same size. I just randomly cut them. Oh, well, I was cutting them to be the same size here, but eventually I ended up just cutting them and making them into coins. Now this here is the final clover that I made, and I drew this out on paper because I knew what I wanted, but I didn't exactly know how to get it. It worked out in the end, so I'm not too unhappy about it. I didn't really have a good idea of what I was doing here, but just watch what I do and you'll see how it turns out. Because I don't know how to explain it really, because I was just trying to get the white middle of the clover, how they are like actual clovers that have that white going. Well, some of them do, some of them don't. Anyways, that's what I was trying to do here. So I was doing this stacked piece so that it would, make the lines. I didn't have enough of the pearl, so I had to end up adding more to it because it was getting really thin. But I just kept doing this till I was happy with it, and then I cut it and stacked it incorrectly, and then I fixed it because I didn't want them just going in one direction. So you'll see that here in a minute and how I put all this together. Thankfully, it worked out. And if I sound tired and give out and not my regular chipper self, it's because I am tired and give out, and it is midnight, and I wanted to have this video posted before midnight. Obviously, it's not going to be, but better a day late than never, I guess.
Superhero. The sun. To dream, believe in strength. Now I'm the only one, only one. I was an ordinary boy until I broke the rules, my life destroyed. Life destroyed. Until I walk awake, scream my mind, I shout, the ground shakes. How much can I take? My mind will break. Will it break? Can
And here's where I thought that cutting them individually and putting them together would work out. And it somewhat did, but reducing it more, cutting it into 4 pieces and putting them together was much easier in the end. The biggest struggle with this is making sure that as you're putting each piece together that you're maintaining the shape that you want, because you're not adding clay in the sides, on the side of each petal to make up for that, empty space. So if you reduce it down without maintaining your shape, it's going to get all wonky. So that's what I did, is just put them together and make sure that I keep the tops rounded the way that I want and it doesn't turn into a big mess. But that's the hardest part right there, is just lining them up correctly. And then I just took and pushed the sides in one by one, kept the round shape, and it worked out. And here you can see that I cut my pieces much thicker than before. Not that piece. These pieces. Made them a lot thicker, and I don't know, I feel like it's going to be too bulky and big, but it's actually better, because it's not as fragile and you have more room to put the hole in so that you can string it. These turned out being my favorite ones, and I used all of these in the bracelet because they were cute. I like them. I think that the pearl lines that I made in them could be positioned higher and curved more. I wasn't quite sure how to accomplish that during this, but I think I've got it now. But anyways, just thought I'd add that in. And I let everything sit for quite a while. All of these sat while I made the other pieces, and then I just got up, walked away, did some laundry, and let them sit for a couple of hours before I pierced the holes in them so that they wouldn't collapse down too much. If you've seen my little bead video, I believe it's in one of them, I pierced them too soon and it distorted the shape greatly. Alright, so everything is baked, and now I'm just taking some super glue with the eye pen, and it's not an eye pen, it's about to be an eye pen. I love this tool. It is awesome. It makes the loop for you, and it is consistent in size and everything. And when I did it, it pulled the pin back out, so I had to re-glue it. So after doing it this way and realizing that it wasn't working out quite the way I wanted, I took and went ahead and made all of the loops first, cut them down to size, and then glued them into each piece and did it that way. And once everything had a pin in it, then I went ahead and put the polyacrylic varnish on them. It brings out the colors, it brings out the shine, the shimmer. I absolutely love it. And I don't know if I know that a lot of people make their pieces and they don't varnish them because they only have certain elements in that piece varnished, you know, and things like that. But I don't know if I could ever do it because I just love the varnish and the shine that it gives. And it really, really brings out the pearl. Now I've got everything laid out. I have everything with a pin in it and ready to go. Now that I have everything assembled, I put it on just to show you what it looks like when wearing it. I feel like I could have had a lot more pieces, but at some point you've got to stop because it's going to get really heavy and it's not going to move how you want. But I did have fun making this. I'm going to make some more, I believe. Those are the pieces that I didn't use, but I'll use them in something else. Anyways, thank y'all for watching. I hope you enjoyed it and you had a wonderful St. Patrick's Day, and I will see y'all in the next one. Bye.